And to unpack this, I'm joined by Bolu Michael-Biyi, foreign policy analyst. Good evening. Glad to have you join me.
Good evening. Nice to be here.
Now, given the recent escalation and history of mistrust between Israel and Iran, how likely is this to spiral into a full-blown war? What are the potential consequences for the region?
Well, the war is currently kind of cold. It's not, as you implied, it's not a full-blown war yet. And, there are high chances, there's a possibility that it can either escalate or we see a de-escalation. So when we see that there's more violence, it shows that there's a chance that things are becoming worse and escalating. So when we see that when there's an escalation, we see that there's going to be more displacement of the civilians. It might also destabilize the world energy market, because we must not forget that Iran they have a lot of oil. They have all these resources, energy resources, and there's also the possibility that the war might be hijacked by terrorist groups or persons who just want to capitalize on the instability in the region.
Well, let's talk about the U.S. and their position. They have remained silent so far on this Israeli attack. What role do you think the U.S. is playing behind the scenes, and how can this affect the situation and also impact U.S.-Iran relations?
Well, the first question one might want to consider is why does the U.S. find a need to come out to say that they're not aware of this? It's because countries, and world powers, individuals, they do believe that the Israel does not take any step without U.S. knowledge, because they are fully committed to the security of Israel. So to me, it's like a case of the wicked running when no one is chasing, and they might just be coming out to avoid direct involvement in the conflict, knowing fully well that it might affect their relations with Iran. Negotiations such as the nuclear deal may stall. The U.S. is not a fan of Iran, so to speak. So I won't say that they might be taking diplomatic steps to ensure that there's no face-off between Israel and Iran. But there's a possibility that there's truth behind the fact that, they might be avoiding escalation of the conflict.
What role do you think the international community should play when it comes to de-escalating tension and also prevent further conflict?
Well, everything boils down to dialogue. When it comes to the international community, it's all about diplomacy. So they can, there are countries that have the ears of Iran. There are countries that have the ears of Israel. They can step in as mediators, to facilitate this dialogue between Israel and Iran. Another thing is that international organizations like the United Nations, can create that platform where they can have that, that engagement. Maybe have a special summit, in which both of them can, both countries and their representatives, can, talk to each other and, try and solve this issue. Then we can have a special conference, to talk about the issues between Israel and Iran.
We've seen sanctions being meted out by the U.S. and also UK to Iran. Do you think this would have any effect whatsoever on the position of Iran?
Well, I personally do not believe in sanctions, and being that over time countries develop what I call sanction tolerance. They find a way to adapt to it, and mitigate and provide or look elsewhere, maybe to say China or Russia, and by the time you know it, they become sufficient, and they're not feeling the impact of the sanctions. But looking at precedents, there's a chance that the sanctions may work, because it would cripple the capacity of Iran to actually take any major step, in the conflict. At least for a short period of time, or on a temporary basis, pending the time they now look for other options in order to stabilize again. So it might work against Iran. When they are cash strapped, they will not be able to fund maybe a proxy organization or a group that's maybe advancing their objectives.
Now, looking ahead, I mean, what are some of the key factors to watch out for in the coming days or weeks, perhaps, that might indicate a potential path towards de-escalation or probably further escalation?
Okay, well, everything starts with the rhetorics. I think that's the simplest and the easiest way to have, to know whether there's going to be an escalation or a de-escalation. Israel said they were going to retaliate, and they did. So, if countries, if the two parties are, speaking tough, it should not be taken lightly in any way. Those are signs that things might escalate. I saw on X, formerly known as Twitter, when Iran was sending in drones and all. Some even thought it was the beginning of a war, a third world war. Because they spoke tough and they took action. Another way we can know if there's going to be an escalation is if there's no diplomatic engagement or there's no willingness to participate in negotiation. If we continue to see an increase in military activities, then those are signs that things are going to escalate. So conversely, in the absence of these things or more, then we can say that things are dwelling, that we're seeing a de-escalation. Right now, Iran is not, it's been passive. Israel has also been, fairly moderate in their response, which indicates that both countries might be open to de-escalating the conflict.
Thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Bolu-Biyi, foreign policy analyst. Thank you once again.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.